and welcome. I'm Kira the Scrivener, and welcome to September, the month that I was not supposed to be born in, but you know, I weather the journeys of the premature, and here I am to wear the sapphire as my crest. And that was over dramatic, so we're gonna jump right into it. I was tagged by Kara from the Wild Book Garden, the wonderful and brilliant woman who I adore very, very much. And this was originally made by JG, and I will tag both of them below. And yeah, I'm going to jump right into it. So it goes over the months of the year and their birthstones and what's kind of associated with them. And I'm going to tell you either a character or a book, and I cannot wait to get into this. It sounds wonderful. I like this kind of thing a lot. So first of all, we have January, which is Garnet. And for this, we have, it's kind of off for like warding off evil and stuff. So we have to pick our most evil character. And how are I just pick one villain? And it's like, how do I make what the atrocities of one go another? And I had so many rabbit trails and so many like this one and then crossed out, there's like literally like 8 names crossed out. And then finally I just wrote the name, put an exclamation mark, and like underlined it 8 times, and that is Goddard from the Ark of the Scythe. Man, this is a person who just, you know, like casually just likes committing genocide and mass violence. And I'm like, yeah, he's pretty screwed up, and he gets even more screwed up as the book progresses, and it's pretty wild. Yeah, I very much enjoy the philosophical discussions around Scythe, and it's why it's one of my favorite books of all time, and I think that Goddard plays a good part into it. I don't enjoy him as a character, but I enjoy understanding the philosophy that he writes, and we get, because we get the journals of the Scythes, we get to hear his thoughts. He's very screwed up thoughts, but yeah, he's like a serial killer who's also kind of sanctioned, but we're not sure how all that. And for February, it is an amethyst, and that's associated with purple, which is royalty. And for this, I was really thinking of a character. I think I thought that I read more books with royalty than I actually have, but this one I think is a really good example and has a kind of a purpley glow too. And this is Lon May She Reign by Rhiannon Thomas. This I think is very underhyped. It's not talked about a lot, but it has brilliant, absolutely brilliant representation for mental health in fantasy, and I think that that's something really underrepresented. So she has an anxiety attack and she leaves, and through that time a feast poisons the other people, and she, who's 23rd in line to the throne, ends up becoming queen, and it's a huge thing. I also like the fact that it really changes a lot of genre. It's fantasy, but it also has her in STEM and has a lot of elements of science fiction and things like that, and I just really appreciated in coming of age. And the romance in here is also non-cringy and also quite realistic. I just really appreciated all of this, and the villain is interesting as well, and I just super enjoy this book, and I think that more people should talk about it. And then we have March, and for this is Aqua Ramin, and this is a wishy-washy character, or as I like to think of it, Erin Barrister. But for this one I was like, who's wishy-washy, and then I was like, oh, Enon from Children of Blood and Bone. It is down there, but I just stacked all of these books. That's why they're not all pretty yet, and I don't want to take it out because it's organized. It is the Zuko-esque character, which is nothing like Zuko at all, but that's okay, other than he's the prince of the nation that's evil. But yeah, he changes his mind like someone in Hot and Cold that's elementedly kind of sexist, so we're not going to go there. Anyways, so for April, we have Diamond, and for this, of course, we have a Diamond in the Rough. And for this one is an underhyped book or series that isn't as well known as you think it should be. And it is hard because I love so many, but I think that the one I chose was Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga, and I adore this book so much. It looks at the Syrian refugee, and it's a middle grade book that deals with Jude as a character and its own voices as well. She's not a Syrian refugee, but her family came from Jordan, and she has cousins and family members that came from Syria, so she has firsthand experience in her own family through that. And I think that it's just a really powerful story, and it's told in verse, and it's brilliant, and it made me cry, it made me laugh, it made me write so much down, and it's short and beautiful, and it should be talked about more. And then also during the POC-a-thon, I read Dear Current Occupant, and this is by Shalene Knight, and this is a memoir that really looks at the aspects of home and belonging, and I really enjoy that element. Part of the reason why I liked The Smell of Other People's Houses, it's a really also underhyped book, but this is a memoir that looks at her going to all the places that she used to live growing up and her experiences and thoughts, and it talks about a lot about representation and about like abuse and mental health and so many other aspects of identity. And I just absolutely adore the book so much. And again, really short memoir that I think should be talked about more. With May, we have a character who's associated with Emerald, which is looked for balance. And for this one, you have to have two characters that balance each other out immediately. And my immediately, like, gut thing was Percy and Annabeth from Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I think that they are just very good at balancing one another out, and they have different strength, and they're both really intelligent and great fighters, but they have different aspects that they come, and I really appreciate this. And this might be like, I know that them as a couple, so the next one, not them. No one is against Perciveth, right? Like, fight me. Or fight Margaret. Margaret will be more feisty. Or Kenzie. They'll both be feisty. I think everyone will be feisty. But we have Ron and Hermione. I think that they're a very interesting thing. I don't know where I hold on the like middle ground of whether they would be a lasting couple, but I think that they balance each other out. Again, a lot of street smart and intelligence, and the fact that Ron is more level-headed and Hermione is more anxious, and I think that that is a really cool aspect. I don't know if they would actually be endgame, but I think that I get the attraction, I get why they balance each other out, and I think that as two prongs of the trio, I think that they are very, very well suited for that, and they're kind of what Harry needed, and I really appreciate that. And then June, we have Loyalty, and who's the most like loyal human ever? Like, other than being completely OP'd in everything he does because, you know, he can do everything, I think by far his most overbearing and beautiful trait is loyalty, and that is Percy Jackson. Like, I can't pick anyone else. Like, his fatal flaw is that he would do anything for a friend, and that's normally a trait that I really, really hate. But for Percy, it's just like, it's just him, and you know it's just him. And I really appreciate that about him. And then also I have to rep my guy Nico. Like, I love Nico D'Angelo so much from Percy Jackson as well. And I think that he's not talked about a lot in Loyalty, but like, especially in the later books, it's talked about like his loyalty to people, despite being constantly rejected, is single-handedly responsible for saving many people's lives, despite the fact that he's constantly like not given enough love, whether that's in the books, whether that's in the fandom. I will fight you. He needs more love. And then, yeah, so much love. And then in July, we have Ruby, and this is Blood Red, a book that makes your blood boil. I have a few, but this one, Willow by Julia Hoban. It's been like 8 years, and it still just makes me viscerally angry to think about it. So this is a book that does terrible representation for cutting and self-harm, as well as just calling people with anorexia grotesque, and that did a lot to my psyche as a 15-year-old who struggled with both of them. So yeah, I want to punch that book and think about it, and every time I hear it on any list that's anything represented, I'm like, no! Kill it! It's gonna be okay. And for August, we have Pear Dot, and a Pear Dot is very pale green, so we're gonna look at characters that are supporting characters that we liked better than the MC, and I didn't have a gut reaction to this. I know that I like a lot of side characters a lot more than main characters, but not like substantively. Like we could talk about like Kanji from Shatter Me or something like that, which yes, I do. But like, he's not one of my all-time favorite characters. I enjoy him a lot more. And I thought of all the characters in Heartless other than Catherine, because Catherine is just enraging, but everyone else is lovely. But I think that in the end, I have to go with a non-book thing, and this would be the Avatar: The Last Airbender, because they're some of my all-time favorite characters. I adore every single cast member, every single, like, pretty much person that crosses the screen. And I think that Aang is one of my least favorite, and it's not because I love Aang. I think that he has great development and story and all of that, but, like, out of everyone, we are the master of side characters that are just substantively incredible. We have Toph, we have Zuko, we have Azula, Sokka, Katara. Like, so many of them are just so out of the world amazing that Aang pales, because he's still really incredible though. So I think that I have to go with that one, even though it's not a book. And you know, they appear in comics and stuff. So now we have September, and for this is Sapphire, and it's supposed to be like blue, like the ocean, and calm. And it's funny because I've never ever considered like the Sapphire like a calming thing. I've always been like, this is epic and wonderful, but I do find it very funny because it's my birthday month, and I have like a game with myself that if I ever have someone mention me or like something like that, I'm like, yes, I'm gonna take a shot if like they mention something about my voice or my calming presence, because it's something that happens a lot, and I'm like, man. Because I find it funny because I have like, I think very two sides. I have like the counselor calm side, and then I'm like the more energetic, but I'm never like, even though I'm very like energized and like passionate, I'm not normally like, I have like a quiet disposition, I think. So even like my passion comes through more reserved. Anyways, but it's something that people comment a lot on, and I'm just like, really? Really? But thank you, I appreciate it. But this one, I had to have this one. It like calmed me, and every time I think about it, it just makes me happy inside and calm and all of that. And that is Elizabeth and Her German Garden, and this is by Elizabeth von Ernum, and it is a classic book that is set in the late 1900s and 1800s, 19th century, and it is set in diary form. It's kind of meta, and I love it. It talks a lot about feminism and nature, and it's just like gloriously peaceful and wonderful. And if you like classics, even if you don't like classics, but especially if you like classics, like, check it out. It is short, wonderful, beautiful, lovely, and it will just make you feel happy and also like energized in that like beautiful, calming way that you're just like, I just feel renewed. That's like a perfect thing for it. And then number 10 is October, and this is Opal, and I'm so glad I live in a world with Octobers, as a quote by Anne Shirley. And I have to pick Anne of Green Gables here because this is iridescent, and the idea of ever changing and also luminous and glorious has to be Anne Shirley. I think that Anne is a really complex character with many facets, and I really appreciate the different aspects of her, and she changes and develops a lot. And I think that it annoys me so much because Anne Green Gables is kind of a character a lot in media and stuff, and I think that a lot of people miss the actual depth and conversations around her and the growth that she does. Even in her first novel, she changes so much, and the aspects that I see that in myself so much. And I'm so passionate about her. It will always be such a calming thing for me because she has, as a character and as a book for Lucy Montgomery, has shaped so much of who I am as a person, and no matter what age I come back to it, I always find so much. And I think that that's like iridescent at the core. Like, there's always something changing and different, but yet beautiful. And I think that that is Anne of Green Gables for me. It will always be Anne of Green Gables for me, and I'm gonna get teary-eyed. I'm so happy. Okay, 11, November. This is Topaz, and this is Resilience, and I had to pick Kimberly Chang for this, and we're gonna get emotional again. The Girl in Translation is a book that is wonderful, incredibly, and also not talked about enough, and it looks at a girl who is a Chinese immigrant to the US, and she goes through a lot of tough crap. Her living conditions and life is just not pleasant or wonderful, and it is really just opens your eyes into what it's like sometimes. And she is so resilient and so powerful, and we follow from grade 6 until grade 12, and her like ability just to be so amazing and incredible and to overcome situations despite everything knocking her down over and over and over. She will get up again, and I'm like, you are an inspiration and wonderful, and you are resilience at its core. And I think that that is something that is so strong and beautiful, and the book is wonderful, and I highly, highly recommend it. Friendship that you want to be a part of, and for this it has to be The Gilded Wolves. I really, really love this series, and I'm like going to reread it again despite the fact that I read it a few months ago, because, you know, we need to get it in the library, needs to get these holes to know that it's beautiful and wonderful and incredible. And I love this found family that's already established when we start, and I think that I would actually get along with each and every one of them very well. Me and Reek would probably be the best. We would talk about history and colonialism and identity, and it would be so amazing. And I can just imagine myself so much in that friend group as well. And it's during part of like my favorite time of history as well. It's like 1899. I would just adore it so much. Anyways, that is the tag. And I am so excited if you stay this long enough. Thank you. Tell me what your birthday month is, what you would answer for those. Do you like resonate with the one that is your birth month, or is it just all like, I don't believe in that crap? Either way, that's fine. I am going to tag Wolfie. They have the same birthday as me, so I think that that is very cool, and we can totally like birthday buddies. And also anyone else who's born in September or in a month where you can do it. You can also do it in a month that's not your birthday. Kara's birthday is in April, and she did it in August, so, you know, doesn't matter. Anyways, happy reading, writing, and creating, and I will talk to you very, very soon, and happy life. I was going to say the same thing again because, yeah, cliched.